The interesting point is he broke it inadvertently. He had so much power in his arm, and the thing was not controllable, so he would put his arm on the tip and break it. So that's a very interesting point. We should just keep it on the back of our minds, because it comes later again. Because one rule in cybernetics is that the power, there also has to be control. Good. I have 3 little chapters. One is all questions. One is why and what for, and I would like to touch upon how. And the last chapter is could versus should. So I'm representing maybe a more conservative European view. I'm the footnote man tonight. I always make a remark. There is always a price to pay. Now, what is the background of all this $6 million man discussion? And I have to agree, it is certainly $6 billion now. Absolutely. There has always been, and this goes down through all cultures, religions, and ancient times, always the dream of a superior being. Usually larger, bigger, stronger, faster, not usually cleverer, actually. But it has always been stimulating the imagination of people. In particular, it's also interesting of Hollywood and the military. And indeed, Hollywood's a lot of movies made on these people. I mean, we can include Superman, I have seen that. We can include Batman, I've seen that. We can include Bionic Woman, I saw that when I was in the US. They're usually all physically enabled. So they jump higher, they run fast, and they have heightened senses. It's like, they can look through walls. They never struck me as particularly brain kind of thing in hand. I see Superman always would struggle out just because he was strong. He would always wriggle out of situation just because of enhanced physical power. Now, all this question is based on, or this assumption, this imagination, is based on a couple of assumptions. Namely, that the body is a machine, that the mind is circuitry, and that also a human body can be permanently combined or mated with machinery for enhancement, and that's what you call a cyborg, a cybernetic organism. Having said that, I would like to reflect on this for a moment. I would like to think about evolution. So we are multicellular animals by definition, and the advent of the multicellular organism happened on a rainy Thursday about 650 million years ago. And from that, so long is evolution that led towards our model. So I could, for the sake of provocation, say that trying to enhance our physiologically perfectly adapted organism, we are perfectly adapted to our environment. This cannot be denied. 650 million years of rigorous testing cannot be wrong. I don't think we are perfect. I think that each organism is perfectly adapted. So trying to improve nature is a little bit of hovering, just thinking about this. And again, my footnote, any enhancement will come at a price, because if we exceed the boundaries of our physiological limitations, this will have reverberations. Good. Now we come to the question, how? The left column is about the approaches. And since I'm the footnote man, on the red column later will appear all the prices that have to be paid for that. The cheapest, also very cruel approach always has been breeding and weeding. What works in cattle has been tried in humans, no doubt. To create a superior human being. Europe's history, also Germany's history is tainted by this kind of approach, and it leads, well, you know what it leads to. Doping has been mentioned. There are, like Jesse James, are people who world records, Olympic records, which were set in the 70s. It took sometimes 15 or 20 years to supersede these world records. What does this tell us? It tells us that human physiology has come to a limit. People are only able to push these limits by selection. Actually, it's breeding and weeding a little bit again. You select now people who are 2 meters tall for basketball. You select people with very short legs for all this gymnastics. So there is already, you see the different, if you do watch the Olympics, you see there are different people who have been selected already. Not particularly bred, but you know what I mean. There's selection already going on. And there are, at the maximum, there are bodily, physically very talented people. There are also genetically talented people. And these people are working at the absolute maximum of their body. We couldn't do that, it would kill us. However, these competitive athletes are already exceeding the limit with a little help of this little pill, of this little hormone. Now this comes again, we see later what kind of price to pay. Then we have add-ons and add-ins, things that can be implanted, things that can be put as a prosthesis, orthesis on people. Then there's the dream, I think this is not true yet, of encasing what is a complete battle suit or an armor, but if you imagine a pilot fighter is kind of encased in an armor-like construction. Then you can mix machine and man. That is one of the dreams they're pursued, and there's something called tissue engineering, which I'm most familiar with. I will talk about this a bit. The price to pay for breeding means inhumane ideas leads to cruelty, concentration camps. We know that. Doping can be fatal. As an army physician in Germany, I had to muster recruits. And when you see the competitive athletes coming in the room, what do they carry? They carry a lot of X-rays because they want to dodge military service. They can do so because the X-rays show horrible injuries. The joints are not in order. And these people, when they are 35 and 40, they will have, in particular, people doing gymnastics. These people have horrible back pain for the next 40 years to come, because they have been exceeding their limits, also the material limits of their own body. But they didn't feel the pain, or didn't want to feel the pain, and people were helping them, all of that. So I think doping is very limited. The add-ons and the add-ins, the encasing, the mixing is that every artificial component increases, of course, the dependency of the wearer on this. We are already very dependent on helpers. We are dependent on, when we take an overnight flight, we are depending on navigation systems, and I'm happy that these systems don't run under Windows. What does that mean? Fighter pilots, as Prof. Ehren has very impressively mentioned, they are under forces and they are under velocities which cannot be mastered by normal brain function. You are completely dependent on the computers calculating your trajectory and your speed and everything. Normal car traffic already is sometimes already too fast for our reaction speed. That's why you hear the noises when two cars meet. So it's just a point I would like to make. When you have something which makes you very dependent, it can be remotely controlled, and all of a sudden you end up maybe as a puppet in an armor suit or something done because power needs control. Who's controlling what? Is the pilot flying the starfighter, or is the airplane flying the pilot? So the boundaries might transgress towards a complete loss of control from the side of the human being. Mixing of machine and man has the interface problem. The human body is a very hostile environment, so implantation of materials can lead to adverse reactions. Plastic is degraded rapidly. The body cells see the foreign material and they will start chipping at it immediately.